obviously with a couple of extra days between games, just how have you seen the team respond, and just overall, what's been your overall message this week?
We took 2 days off after the Mississippi State game, and so yesterday was the first day to be back together. Um, Spent a lot of time in the film room on looking at us and fixing us. Today we will get back in there and do our report on Florida. Yesterday we did get on the floor and it was all defense, just worked on defensive stuff. And today we'll work obviously on Florida, but also defensive stuff.
What are you seeing? If it's defensive, what are you seeing? The stuff that we saw before? Or?
Just repetition on helping on the drives, how to cut angles to keep them out of the paint, talking, communicating a lot, helping each other, realizing that you're not on an island by yourself on the defensive end, and that we all need to have a string attached to us and help each other.
Sorry, a little bit of a detour. Coming off the Mississippi State game, with so many of the road games this season being record selling, like ticket sales, or just sold out games, what do you see in that economic impact, not just at LSU, but at the universities you're going to?
Well, let me make it clear. I don't know in the history of women's basketball that any program has ever made money. That goes back to my days of playing, Pat Summitt's days of coaching, Gino's days of coaching. So if you're looking at that, you don't need to be. What you do need to look at is what you just said, is the excitement that is out there now in the public for women's basketball. Certainly, it's personalities on my team. It's how we play. Obviously, we are generating a lot of interest from last year, and you're getting those big crowds, which is great. And you're also getting teams that are just coming at you. I mean, playing awesome. And we've got to match that when we go on the road.
Coach, 8 games left, SEC tournament. Do you feel like you're getting to the realm where you can't afford another loss, and maybe does the SEC tournament could matter more to you than you like to put emphasis on it in previous years?
What do you mean afford it?
Yeah, I mean,
if you lose
you're talking
another
about
one,
being
what does
able
it do?
Being able to host.
Oh, hosting?
Yes.
Oh, well, I don't know that. I can't think like that right now. All I can think about is Florida. I can't sit and take the time to go, okay, if we do this and this, we should host, but then what if they do this? It's going to come down to the end of the season, however many people sit in a room and make the decision. Certainly, we would love to host. Certainly, we think we're worthy of that, but Lord knows I can't think like that. I couldn't think like that if I was sitting up here undefeated. You just think about the next opponent.
Kim, offensively, what are some of the things that you feel like you need to get better at right now? I notice teams are really pressuring your guards and taking a lot of your shot clock to get into your offense. What do you see?
Taking care of the ball. Getting us a good shot starts with getting the ball up the floor and then just making the simple passes. Get open on the wing. Yes, people are pressuring us. Deal with it. Learn how to handle that. Don't play faster because someone's pressuring you. Play with composure and get the ball where it needs to be. And, it's the best way I know to answer that. It's pretty simple. Make a pass, get open, make another pass, score the ball.
Yeah, Coach, obviously you guys are in somewhat of an unfamiliar position right now. Just being around the team since Monday, does it feel any different? Just the morale?
Well, are you talking about unfamiliar position because we lost 2 in a row, or?
Yeah.
Because
pretty much.
I've been in this position many times.
Well, this team in particular.
Well, I don't know because it's a different team. It's not the same team as last year. I don't know if Michaela Williams ever lost 2 in a row. I don't know if Haley Van Lith. I don't know. I don't view it that way. I view it as if somebody beats you, you make sure they do what they need to do to beat you, and I feel like both teams did what they needed to do to beat us. And then you address what you didn't do to win the game. Guys, we're 17-4. Oh, are we? See, I don't even know. 18-4. One of the top teams in the country. It happens. We just go back to work and focus on the next game and focus on us and see what happens here late in the year.
Coach, against Mississippi State, we saw Janae get some early run. What did you see from her in the minutes she played, and what kind of progress is she making?
I didn't see just something glaring at me, good or bad. So that could be, I guess, good. It's kind of like if you don't know a referee's on the floor, that must mean they call pretty good, right? Just trying to get the attention. I think she went in for Michaela, get the attention of Michaela on turning the ball over and giving up an offensive board, but also getting her attention. Are you in the ball game? Are you ready to go if I need you? So she got in late, too, on situations when Flage got in foul trouble and I was subbing offense and defense. So all those little things will help her.
Coach, she's only a freshman, but what is Velez learning, and what is she working on to put herself in position to play more minutes?
Well, I think that's the first thing is she's not focusing on how many minutes that she is or is not getting. She's focusing on how do I get better to someday get on that floor. She understands it's a process. She keeps the right mind frame. She stays positive. She's encouraging. She's listening. She's asking questions. Of late, I have her defending Haley and Poa just because she can pressure the ball a little bit, and I don't have to use big physical guys out there that are on our dream team.
Is she closer than we think? Is she closer than we think?
Well, you got to understand, Haley and Poa are going to be the majority of the minutes, so I don't know that I can answer that she's closer than you think. She understands the pecking order.
You've talked before about feeding the beast, and you just mentioned your record and kind of the reality of where the team is. I guess, is that a conversation that you've had with them? Don't try to be what people's expectations of you are. Last year's team, I think, had different expectations, and they were good at kind of blocking that out. This year's team, I feel like, has exceeded expectations upon them, and they're trying to live up to them. Is that realistic?
I think what I've talked to them about is you're getting shots from people that last year's team didn't get. You're getting crowds that last year's team really didn't get. It started snowballing, but you're getting a lot of all of these hits because of social media, because of defending champions, because of personalities. So you got to deal with it. Last year's team is gone. But that's not a bad thing. We don't view it as a bad thing. I view that as a good thing. And that means that we're doing things in the right direction if we're doing those kind of things, not just here, but on the road. We don't have last year's team, and what we thought we had, we don't have either. We thought we would have the depth, but you just keep on keeping on and keep on playing.
Kim, back to, I guess, the quartet of freshmen. When they got to campus, I guess, what did you immediately see out of Michaela that showed you or proved to you that, she could be a day one starter out of that group? And I guess what was kind of maybe the difference in that assessment from her and the other three? And I guess what's the room to make up for the other three to be able to play more minutes for you guys?
Really, she wasn't here this summer as much as like Aaliyah was. Aaliyah was rehabbing an ankle that she had cleaned up. And so Michaela did a lot of her 3-on-3 USA basketball. Really, she was judged and observed when practice started, and what she did in inter-squad scrimmages and what she did every day in practice. And I thought that Michaela and Janae when we started practicing, I thought they really held their own. And you just evaluate what you have on that floor. Now, at that time, we had everybody. So as time progressed, you didn't have everybody, and so that's where some things had to change in my mind on substitution, on who started and all that.
Kim, you said you worked on defense and stuff like that. Are you optimistic that those things can be improved, to enough to help y'all, win, down the road?
Yeah. We're 18-4, Scott.
I mean, you keep coaching.
We're 18-4.
Hmm?
Yeah. We're going to win some more games.
But improve to your liking, I guess it would say. Because you've said it's something to work on.
Everything improves with time. My problem is patience. I wanted it fixed yesterday or this summer, but you can't rush time. I have to be realistic in what they're really physically capable of doing on the defensive end. Is it knowledge? Is it effort? Is it maturity? And so I have to think of all those things as I watch film and I show them things. But I don't go in there bashing them and showing them everything bad that they do. I go in there and go, this is so much better than a month ago. Well, maybe in another month it'll be better than this month. That's what you do. It's just keep working at it, and it'll click one day. Will it click when I want it to? I hope so, but who knows?
And would you consider anything kind of radical, like moving Haley back to a shooting guard position and having Poa play most of the point?
If Poa gets untracked, Haley's natural position is the off guard. And boy, if Poa gets untracked and can do that, absolutely. And that would give you 3 or 4 rotations on the wing. Certainly, absolutely.
Yeah, Coach, just looking at Florida, Correa averaging 26 a game off the bench.
Leading the conference, isn't she?
Yeah, if you could just talk about
In
her.
SEC, man, she can score some points. Without having done the full scouting report with the team, just off the top of my head, you better get back in transition defense. Don't look at their win-loss record. I think it can be misleading. They've been in some games. They've lost some heartbreakers, and we've got to defend. We've got to defend in transition. We've got to defend in the half court. And I'm sure they're going to do what they do, and that is play man-to-man, but they'll also press you some. So we'll have to work on those things. But that's nothing that we don't work on for every game. It's good to be back home. It's good to lick your wounds at home and see if you can't get that home court feel and get you going a little bit and get your spirits good. But our spirits aren't bad. I mean, you don't drag your head because you got beat by 2 pretty good teams on the nights we played them. What you drag your head about or duck your head about is, I wish I could do that over. Oh, I wish I could do that over. That's basketball. That's sports.
Coach, about what time do you want your players to arrive at the arena? I noticed the last home game in the 4 o'clock hour, your guards were shooting threes, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, especially when you're playing so few players. And also, do you have to worry about on even taking 2 days off? Do you have some self-starters who might want to overtrain and go work even though they had the day off? You have to watch that.
That's a fine line, yes. Having the bye week is why I gave them 2 days off. Now, I don't tell them they can't get in a gym. I don't tell them anything like that. I do know that I have coached players that sometimes they overwork themselves, especially the day of a game. And I've addressed that with several of them because it's not just here. I've even at Baylor before told one of them, don't come in this gym. I don't want to see you in this gym. I'm going to check we check the little finger scan. No. Now, isn't that great? But as a coach, you have to tell a player that. Most of the time, it's like you can't get them to work out. I don't have that problem. Not at LSU, and I've never really had it in my coaching career. So it is a fine line between what are you doing in your individual workouts on your own when we're not here? Is it tiring you with the minutes some of you have to play? Do you need that? So we've had those discussions just to make them aware of, evaluate your performance in a game and think, what did I do different? What can I do better? So yeah, you have all those kind of conversations, or I do.
You're honoring Sue Gunter on Sunday. What is that going to mean for the program? What's it going to mean for her and her family to have that officially recognized?
Reed, I'm not honoring her. This university is honoring her. I'm just a small part of it. For me personally, it's just somebody from afar that I respected when teams I was a part of competed against her teams, whether it was at Stephen F. Austin or LSU. So it's going to be especially wonderful for Bob Starkey and those 100 alums that are coming back, and I would think most all of them played for her except the last, era that she was not coaching here. So it will be, I would imagine, emotional for some of them, but I think it'll be more joyous because I think they're very proud of what we're doing. I think they were proud when they played here, saw a little lull, and now hopefully when they come back and they see the crowd, they'll go, wow. And that's what I'll be watching, is just happiness.
Yeah, Kim, most of the time when teams get on runs against y'all, 10, 12, 14 points, you try to let your team play through it instead of calling timeouts. Just what's your philosophy on that? And when do you finally say, I got to call a timeout?
My philosophy is to save as many timeouts as I can for the end of ball games in case you need them. I've thought about that through the course of the season. Do I need to call more because we're not playing that many players and it gives them an extra rest? Sometimes media timeout is coming up, and do I really want to use my timeout if I'm going to get the next dead ball timeout with a media timeout? So all those things go through your mind. I don't know that I've made the right decision or wrong decision through the course of the season, but certainly you have to make adjustments. I can think of games where I used my timeouts too early and I needed them late in the game and I didn't have them. And then I can think of times where I had timeouts left and I never used them. You just have to go with a gut feeling.
Got time for a couple more here. Coblin and Shop.
Can you help me understand the help defense and where it's going wrong? Is it helping the helper, or?
It's all of it. What's the hardest thing in basketball, men or women, to do on defense? What is it? Stop dribble penetration. I don't care who you are. If I have the ball in my hand, I'm usually going to win that dribble penetration. It's just the way it is. So the guy guarding the ball has to keep them out of that paint area and channel them to a sideline. When they don't, that's where your help has to come from. Now that depends on where the opponent's players are positioned. Does it need to come from Angel and our post players, Morrow at the high post? We could have done really, really a lot more from that position in the Mississippi State game, because what they did is they spread the floor on you over here. Well, you don't want to help ball side dribble penetration because they're just going to kick it out. So it's who needs to help, when you need to go, how do you anticipate going? When you're fleet of foot, in all sports, it covers up a lot of mistakes. If I get beat and I'm a safety, boy, I can truck it and get back there before that ball is completed. But if you're not fleet of foot, you have to angle yourself in such a way where you don't get beat. And I think that's a lot of it. And then when we do get beat, am I anticipating something right or wrong, or am I just standing flat-footed? And when I do go, can I make something happen, like take a charge? Well, if you take a charge and you don't get it, they're usually going to call a block. It does what? It stops the clock, which is a heck of a lot better than them kicking it out for a 3. So it's just learning all those little things that can make us better defensively. Communicating is the biggest problem. We don't communicate at all 5 positions at the same time. And I can't read your mind and know what you're going to do unless I've played with you for a long period of time. I can't tell you in 3 months of playing together where you really like to get the ball the most. But I can if I've been playing with you a year, 2 years. I know what makes you tick. So you're trying to do it as fast as you can, and we are improved, but we're not there yet. Will we get there this year, guys? I can't answer that. I hope so, but I don't know that it'll be a polished product, but I think we can get there to win ball games, to go deep. I'll ask you this. Scott, when you sat here in February after you went to South Carolina, didn't you? When you came back, did you think that team was going to win a national championship? That's all I need to hear. So all these detailed questions you ask, I can't give you the perfect answer or the absolute answer. That's why this sport is so dang fun. Who knows? Who knows? But that's one thing I'll tell you. We're relevant. We're playing for it. Keep perspective.
You kind of talked a little bit about economics at the beginning. There was some numbers that came out about last year that got some people's attention in terms of your program. Are you a believer that there's certain things, like when you play in a national championship game in front of 10 million viewers, that's millions of dollars of free advertising, memories, so forth, strengthening brand? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
All right, get your pens out. I'm a bean counter by nature, right? I used to almost major in accounting. If you're an investor, you're just going to do away with women's sports because they don't make money, right? So just everybody across the country, get rid of women's sports because we're not making money. But there's a lot of ways to invest in a corporation that brings you value. What we're doing, and a lot of programs have done through the years, is bring a dollar value on that TV that you can't just put a pen down and tell you how much that cost, or how many students decided to go to LSU and pay money because they saw you on TV. Or those are the things that you just don't put on a paper when whatever you're talking about is released. So I am a firm believer that LSU is getting a return on investment with what they have invested in our program. And not just our program, but programs across the country. Yeah, I'm going to stop at that unless you have another question.
So it's short-sighted. It's a short-sighted view just to look at the balance.
When you're dating somebody, do you just judge them by how they look? Nah. No, that's exactly right. If you just want to go, they lost this, this, and this, get rid of the program. That's not happening.
Kim, that number doesn't also include the numbers that you bring into the TAF. That's not in the.
It does not bring in my value to this institution in so many ways. The speaking engagements, the amount of money raised, the amount of people who now buy these tickets to come to games. There'll be a great crowd again Sunday for whatever reason. And I don't want to use me, but I'm the leader. And if we're not putting a product out there and there's nobody in the stands and we're not out there selling the program and we're not being on television and we're not being talked about, you're not getting a return on investment.
But if your fundraiser number was included in that, do you think you'd be closer even than people would imagine?
If what?
If you're fundraising to the TAF, where people are writing checks to the TAF, that number's not in that bottom line.
Well, you're asking somebody to answer it based upon what I know I do every day, 12 months a year. Sure. My goodness. We just built a new locker room. Who went and got that money? I mean, you could add all those things together and go, it all works together. We're all LSU. But let me make it perfectly clear. The cash cow at all institutions is football. Football. The second cash cow is men's basketball. Here at LSU, baseball is kind of something that other schools don't have. So I acknowledge all of that. But you can't just bash an institution for investing in something that is so dang good. Not just for us at LSU, but for this state. What is bad about it?
Why is it news that almost every sporting program at LSU loses money? They've done it every year. I mean, what's the news value of this? I don't get it because I've looked at it every year.
I think the news value is you've got those that do clickbait. You got those who put out negative stuff. That makes them feel worthy and good. Okay? It's just, I don't know. It's like, why was it newsworthy when I went through a divorce? How many divorces happen every day? Why is it newsworthy that an athletic department, has a deficit? Well, you're just going to make it up it's how it works. I can't answer that. I just know that I feel like we're doing our part. And if we're doing our part, write whatever you want to write.
All right, sports popularity though, if it stays on this trajectory, how confident are you in it becoming, and by it I mean I guess women's basketball, it becoming a revenue generator?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that we're seeing things in women's basketball, and I can't speak for other female sports, but gymnastics was has 12, 13,000, and but for women's basketball, it's very popular right now, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. And guys, I've coached 40-0 teams. I've coached 3 national championships. I don't know if it's the generation we're living in with social media. I don't know if it's the players I'm coaching and their personalities. I don't know if it's my outfits I'm wearing. I don't care what it is. If it brings interest and people come, you're doing your part. You're doing your part. And you hope that across the country, Corey, that everybody finds that niche within their institution so that it's not just 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 programs, that it just grows. And I can't project that. I don't know. But I like where we are in a short period of time. I really do.
Did you experience any of this as a player, Louisiana Tech, Lady Texas? Because that was...
Yes. Back in the day at Louisiana Tech in the early 80s, you got to remember, no branding, no social media. It was all just newspapers and television, but we sold out. I mean, you had first 2 years in Memorial Gym, people hanging out the windows, people climbing through the windows because they couldn't get in the gym. When you threw the ball in bounds, you had to push people back because they were sitting on the court. Then we moved to the Assembly Center, and it sold out. But what you had then was about 2 or 3 teams that did that. Now, I think because of social media, and you can get every game just about now on TV for women's basketball, whether it's ESPN Plus, whether it's SEC Network, whether it's the major stations, you're seeing more of it. And when you look in the stands, you go, golly, that's sold out. Golly, that's a great crowd. Back in my day, you didn't see but maybe 1 game on television, and that was a national championship game. So now you getting that exposure that helps grow the game. It may never just take off and be like that at every institution. But I can tell you, I've watched men's games that don't have people in the stands either. So why? Why don't they? They're either not winning, they play a boring style, they're not out selling their program, they're not out there working to get people. It takes more than just winning, and that's on the men's side as well. And we'll see. Hopefully it'll continue to grow.
All right, thank you.
Y'all good?